Hi everyone, I hope all of you guys are doing well. So finally it is time that we start our answer writing practice together. I'm going to start this entire series where we are going to write a lot of answers together. I will show you answers from 2022 paper of UPSC and some old papers also. I will teach you how to write them live through examples, and this series will go on for the next couple of months through January, through February, so that you can learn about answer writing and you can get a lot of practice also. So those of you who are serious aspirants, please stick to this. It will really help you. And I will tell you small points, big points, which are really important for UPSC. All right. Now, before you start answer writing, I want you to do a few things. I want you to take such A4 sheets or any register in which you can write your answers. You can always print out the UPSC question. You don't need to write every question like this. This I have just done for illustrative purposes. And you should have a timing watch where you can take the time. All right. So stop timer that you can use. I have here my basic watch which I use for stop timers. And also you can keep an extra pen just in case. You should keep a pencil and a ruler also, a scale, so that if you need to make a diagram you can quickly make it, or you can make the diagram with a pen also. What pen I use the Uniball pen. This pen I really like. I have used it for the longest time, even for my UPSC papers, and even today as an officer I use this pen. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the question. The question is from GS3 paper of 2022 only. All right, and I will break it down for you. I will teach you how to exactly write it. Why is public-private partnership (PPP) required in infrastructural projects? Examine the role of PPP model in the redevelopment of railway stations in India. You have to answer this in 150 words, and it's a 10-mark question. Now remember, it is very important here. The approach that I follow is I always try to break down a question into different parts. First, I look at what are the most important keywords or what are the most important concepts that are asked in the question. So what is the most important concept asked here? It is public private partnership. So whatever is the most important concept, you want to define it. That is the first thing you should do. Second thing, whatever is asked in the question, if it is asked why, if it is asked examine it, if it is asked to enumerate, you look at that and you try to do that. So here it is asked why PPP is so important, why it is required. Why is it required? What are the reasons it is being adopted in India? So you have to list out the various reasons for that. So I will try to answer that, of course, through my question, through my answer, that why it is required and why it should be adopted in India. All right, and then finally the second part of the question is examine the role of PPP model in the redevelopment of railway stations. What is the role of using of PPP model for the redevelopment of various railway stations in India, which are being developed through this model. All right, so these are the two different questions that are asked in one question. This entire question is of 10 marks. So you can't ignore one part. You can't write too much about this question and forget this part. You have to write equally in both the questions, because both the different part of the questions are assigned 5 marks. So it is important not to ignore one part for the other. All right, so we will start our answer. I will start my timer. Of course, this timer is not going to help because I'm going to explain also, but just keep it so that you are taking care of the time also. Remember, for a 10-mark question, you have 6 to 7 minutes max, so you should be trying to finish it in within 6 to 7 minutes. If you know some answer question really well, then you can take a little bit more time. So what is the simple definition of public private partnership? Always go for simple definitions. Don't try to use too much technical language. So public private partnerships, PPP, can be defined as collaboration between a government and a private sector company for development of various projects such as public transport, parks, convention centers. Airports is included in the public transport, so I will obviously not repeat airports, etc. And the best practice is also to give an example. One successful PPP example is that of airport development in Delhi and some other cities. So this is a very obviously popular example that Delhi airport is maintained, it was developed by private companies, and that is a well-known example. So you can give that example also. So you can underline, okay, like this: collaboration for development of various projects. Okay, so this way now you have defined clearly what is PPP and you have given one example. Now you want to go directly into why it is important, because that is what the question is asking and that is what you should be able to answer, or why it is required. Why PPP required? Okay, in short, because you don't have that much time, so I will box it normally so that it looks very different and you can easily read it, and I will give points. All right, so why it is required? Well, access to large amount of financing, sometimes I will explain the point, sometimes I will not explain the point. It is always good to explain it a little bit, maybe in a point or two, but not too much. So here India needs $1.5 trillion in funding for public infrastructure in next 5 years, which government alone cannot afford. PPP enables availability of private funds. All right, simple. I have explained it very quickly. Now move on to the next point: risk sharing. Risk of failure of a project can be shared between government and private sector, thereby making it more feasible. So obviously it is easy to share risk rather than one party have all the risk. All right, so that point I have given. Now I move on to the third point. World quality infrastructure can be developed with expertise of so you can develop world class infrastructure with expertise of private sector and foreign companies. Okay, that can be done in PPP. So very short you have to be, because there is not enough time. I have already passed 6 minutes and I have more points. So in this case what you can do is sometimes you can just list out the points that you know. So you can say PPP also ensures less delays and increases transparency. All right, and then you can move on to the next part, which is basically why it is needed in the redevelopment of railway stations. So now I will move on to the examine the role of PPP in redevelopment of railway stations. Role of PPP in redevelopment of railway stations. All right, so same way I will kind of box it. I will take down exactly the same statement, and I will now go to the redevelopment of railway stations portion, which is another question which you have to be able to answer properly in this. All right, so here you have to go straight into the points why it is so important to have this kind of a model in railway stations. So the first point is PPP can reduce delays in development of long pending stations in hinterland of India. BOT model build, operate, transfer enables private companies to provide high quality services at stations and increase passenger comfort. All right, PPP also ensures that services such as accessibility for disabled, good resting houses are available at railway stations. So basically here what you're doing is you are providing various reasons on how PPP will help in redevelopment of railway stations. Railway stations have already always faced a lot of the upkeep is usually low at the railway stations if you see. So what PPP can do is increase that quality of service that the people are getting at the railway stations. So PPP can reduce delays in development of long pending stations in hinterland. It can also enable companies to build high quality services, like I said. One point you can give is it can help develop freight stations and dry ports to link small cities with bigger ones for trade. So that is also the role of development of railway stations, that not only customer service is going to improve, but also the fact that freight stations can be developed more effectively. And massive land bank of railways can be utilized rationally through PPP. Now, I will end here. I will end this question answer here. I will also write a conclusion, but I would like to say that this answer, obviously, I have written it a little too long because there was a lot of points. Sometimes what happens is you get questions in which you know a lot of content, so you will have a lot of points which will go over the word limit, and that is all right. Here, if you are spending, like, let's say, instead of 7 minutes, you are spending like 10 minutes, is all right, but then you will have to make up for it somewhere else. There will be some other question in which you might not have so much content, so there you have to give less time, and here you have given more time, so you might get more marks. So I used to do that. I used to write more in some questions and a little bit less in some questions, but overall you have to balance it out. You can't just focus on one question, few questions too much. Now quickly you want to write the conclusion. PPP has emerged as a potential model to answer India's growth and goal of building $5 trillion economy. However, so here also you can end, or you can also write a few more lines if you have time, that however PPP also comes with its set of challenges which should be addressed by the government through proper rules. So like this, you have to give an overview. You have to show sort of a way forward on how this model is good for India, and you have to definitely quote a few important numbers that show that you understand this not only from a general point of view, but you have a little bit of a technical understanding, or you have a little bit of insight about this particular topic. You can't be very generic, you have to be specific. So how I was being specific here? I was being specific here by giving a very simple but specific definition which had various examples also. All right, after that I was using numbers, like for example, India needs $1.5 trillion in funding. This is a number that is given by Niti Aayog, so you can even quote Niti Aayog here. You can also show that Niti Aayog has quoted this. All right, to similarly use numbers where important, use name of reports where important, that will enhance the quality of your answer. All right, so today this is the GS3 economy development question that we tackled. I hope you loved it. I hope you liked it. Let me know if you have any questions about answer writing. Happy to answer them. Take care. Bye bye. Have a good day. And day after tomorrow also I'll be posting another question. Bye.